Once upon a time, in an old oak tree at the edge of a meadow, there lived a little squirrel named Miru. Miru had a cozy home high up in the branches. His bed was made of soft moss and dried leaves. His cupboard was a hollow in the trunk where he kept his acorns. And his front door was a round hole that looked out over the whole meadow, where the grass waved like a green ocean in the wind. One crisp autumn morning, Miru's mother shook him gently awake. "Miru, today is market day." Miru sat straight up. Market day. He loved market day. All the animals in the meadow set up stalls under the big elm tree and traded things they had made or found. "Here," said his mother, counting out 10 shiny acorns and placing them in a little cloth pouch. "These are your acorns for the market. Spend them wisely." Miru tucked the pouch under his arm and scurried down the tree, his bushy tail bouncing behind him. The market was already buzzing. Rabbits sold carrots. Bees sold jars of golden honey. The old badger sold warm wool scarves, and the bluebirds had a stall full of pretty feathers. Miru walked slowly through the stalls, his eyes getting bigger and bigger. First, he saw a sparkly hat. It was made of acorn caps and tiny bits of mica that glittered in the sun. It sat on a little stand, turning slowly in the breeze. "Ooh," said Miru. "How much?" "4 acorns," said the mouse who sold it. Miru reached for his pouch, but then he heard his mother's voice in his head. "Spend them wisely." He moved on. Next, he saw a toy boat. It was carved from a walnut shell, with a leaf for a sail and a tiny twig for a mast. It was the most beautiful boat Miru had ever seen. "How much?" he breathed. 3 acorns, said the beetle who built it. Miru wanted that boat so badly his paws tingled. But again, he heard, "Spend them wisely." He kept walking. Then he smelled something wonderful. At the end of the row, the hedgehog was selling candy apples. Little crab apples dipped in honey and rolled in crushed nuts. They glistened in the sunlight like tiny jewels. "1 acorn each," said the hedgehog, smiling. Miru's mouth watered. He clutched his pouch tight. Sparkly hat, toy boat, candy apple. He wanted them all. He sat down on a tree root to think. 10 acorns. That was a lot, wasn't it? He could get the hat, the boat, and a candy apple, and still have 2 left over. But then he remembered something. His bed. The soft moss was getting thin and flat. Winter was coming, and cold nights were already creeping in. He needed new bedding. Warm, thick bedding that would keep him cozy when the snow fell. And his food store. The cupboard was only half full. He needed more dried berries and seeds to last through the long winter months. And his roof. There was a crack near the top of his door where the wind whistled through at night. He needed bark strips to patch it up. Miru opened his pouch and looked at his 10 acorns. Then he took a deep breath and started sorting. "Warm bedding, 3 acorns," he said, counting them out. "Food for winter, 4 acorns. Bark for the roof, 2 acorns. He counted what was left, 1 acorn. Miru looked at the sparkly hat. Too much. He looked at the toy boat. Too much. He looked at the candy apple. 1 acorn. Just right. Miru marched through the market. First, he bought a big bundle of soft, warm moss from the rabbit stall. Then he bought dried berries and sunflower seeds from the chipmunk. Then he bought 3 strips of thick bark from the old beaver. He carried everything back to his tree and got to work. He stuffed his bed until it was soft and puffy. He filled his cupboard until it was overflowing. He patched the crack near his door until not a whisper of wind could sneak through. Then, with his last little acorn, he went back to the market. The hedgehog was still there, one candy apple left, glowing golden in the late afternoon sun. "One candy apple, please," said Miru. The hedgehog handed it over with a wink. "Good choice." Miru carried his candy apple home. He climbed into his freshly stuffed bed, so warm, so soft. The cupboard was full. The roof was fixed. The wind outside couldn't touch him. He took one bite of the candy apple. The honey was sweet. The nuts were crunchy. It was the best thing he had ever tasted. Maybe because he had taken care of everything else first. Maybe because it was the one treat he'd earned. His mother peeked in at bedtime. She saw the full cupboard, the patched roof, the warm bed, and the tiny candy apple core sitting on a leaf plate. She smiled. "You spent wisely, my little one." Miru yawned, snuggled deep into his warm moss bed, and whispered, "Good night, Mama." Outside, the first snowflakes of winter began to fall, soft and silent. And Miru slept, warm, fed, and perfectly, completely happy.